since I've been speaking about relationships on this channel, I've had a lot of comments from people who have been saying relationships are unnatural. I'm just not built for relationships. There's no point. There's no reason to even bother trying, right? And people sort of give up on the idea of relationships. And I used to feel like that in the past. I had a moment in time where I was like, relationships are just not for me. But since then, I have done a lot of research and I've shifted my perspective. I believe that in order to be truly great at relationships, you learn through failure, not through success. So in this video, I'm going to break down the hard-hitting lessons about relationships that I've learned through my 30 plus years of screwing them up. Relationships are hard. Most people don't come equipped with a manual, right? There are people out there who fall into it, but for the rest of us, we have to learn through failure, and oftentimes we learn the wrong lessons. I've been screwing up relationships for over 30 years, and through so much of that failure, I actually learned a lot. And there are relationships experts out there that will have you believe that they just have this formula or this system and everything's perfect, right? But I don't believe that that's true. I believe that people learn through failure. This is not something that comes naturally. We are often fed these really kind of dumb ideas about relationships, how they should be, how they shouldn't be. And we learn these lessons from people who have often failed to create good relationships. So a lot of relationships are about unlearning bad habits, unlearning bad relationship advice, and relearning good advice that is effective for building relationships together. The first thing that I've learned is that there are only really two relationship problems. Fundamentally, there are logical problems and there are emotional problems. As guys, a lot of us get caught up in these logical problems. That's where we think most things lie. Even emotions to us become a matter of logic. Well, I don't feel sad about this because it's unimportant. But the truth is that's not the way it works, right? So there are logical discords. Logical discords within relationships are from misunderstandings or miscommunications on day-to-day situations. So these are, I don't think we should take the kids to this school. You think we should take the kids to this school. This is the disconnect, right? I think that we should handle the finances this way. You should feel like we should handle the finances this way. That is a logical disconnect. So these are the logical problems. If you don't overcome these logical discords, then they become emotional discords. Emotional discords are the emotional disconnects between you and your partner. This is sometimes due to logical discords escalating, or it can come from just built up differences in emotions. So for example, if you are a jealous person, that can influence your relationship into you being a bit more controlling with your partner. That is an emotional discord. Trust issues or is struggling with communication, expressing their feelings, that can be emotional discord. So all of these emotional discords are usually from unmet needs or held up feelings within the relationship. In order to overcome emotional discords, there needs to be a process. Being able to bridge that discord gap between you both is an essential part of relationships. So that is the difference between logical discords and emotional discords. And it's important to recognize that relationship problems don't really exist. Relationship discords do. And the difference is that problems are things that are negative, right? They are something that is in the way. A discord is different. We often think that relationship problems come from one person. However, relationship problems are actually relationship discords. They're simply two different perspectives that have not been bridged. And this brings me on to my next point, which is the idea that relationship problems aren't bad things. So these discords are not really problems. They're actually opportunities of connection. So people say, well, they like blue, I like red. That is a problem because we're two different people, right? However, every discord, every disconnect within a relationship is an opportunity to synthesize, to grow. And this is where everyone makes a mistake, is that they look at these problems in a relationship and they say, we got all these problems. However, the most successful relationships don't see these as problems. They see these as opportunities to connect and to build and to grow. One person liking red and one person liking blue sounds really bad. And if you see it that way, then you're going to treat it that way. You're going to treat it as a reason to not be together and that you're two different people and that you should be apart. However, the most successful relationships have all seen these discords as opportunities. One person liking red, one person liking blue means that you can bridge it with purple. And actually, that means that you got 3 colors in the relationship rather than 2. So all of these discords seem like they're big problems. They seem like they are something that is just going to cause trouble down the line. However, In all of the research and training that I've done, all of the successful relationships that I've dealt with come from the people who see these discords as moments of opportunity to grow and to synthesize. And they always become stronger and more successful as a couple when they start to look at these discords in a different way. So it's important to not only recognize these discords, but also learn how to make these opportunities for growth. The next thing that I've learned is that relationships aren't innate. They are learned. So most people need to actively learn the skills necessary for successful relationships. There are a lucky few who don't really seem to need to overcome challenges, and it just clicks, right? That is what people search for in relationships. But it is so rare, and you may as well just play the lottery if you're waiting for that. This is the idea of this soulmate idea, this perfect person that is always just going to say the right thing, do the right thing. This doesn't really happen. And even if you speak to relationships that are very strong and very successful, they have a lot of love. If you ask them what's the secret to their success, it's never, oh, it just happened, right? So yes, there will always be relationships that will be easier. However, there are never relationships without discords. And that is the most crucial thing to know. There will always be discords within a relationship. The key part of relationships is learning how to overcome these discords, how to bridge that gap between you both. And again, it all starts with understanding that these are opportunities rather than challenges. Treating relationship skills like a craft and practice and refine them over time, this is where relationships really grow. Improvement should always be a lifelong commitment. Growing as an individual in order to benefit your relationship is something that all of my members do. So some members are going through breakups, some members are rebuilding, some members are single and just wanting to learn relationship skills, but all of them are committed to learning these skills in order to have a bigger influence on creating a successful relationship. And that's one of the most crucial things. Next is compatibility is a complete myth. Compatibility is cultivated. So this whole idea of compatibility isn't something that you stumble upon. As much as we like to think of romance and this whole idea of these two jigsaw pieces coming together and everything's so special and wonderful and perfect, like you're made for each other, it is a romanticized idea of relationships. Compatibility is not a thing. Compatibility is built. You build the jigsaw pieces. You build it through shared experiences. You build it through learning. You build it through bridging these discords, these emotional, these logical discords. You cultivate that compatibility together. That is the point of a relationship. If you just want to be someone who exists, that doesn't have any challenges, then you may as well be single, right? But then if you choose to be single, you don't get to have the benefits of the additional partner, the additional growth together, and the extra success that comes through teamwork. So cultivating this compatibility is a skill. It's about engaging in growth together, bridging these discords and using them for growth. Over time, learning these skills, you start to forge deeper bonds and a deeper intimacy together. And in order to do this, you need to be open to changing your perceptions. You need to be open to adapting yourself in order to navigate the relationship dynamics. And as a result of that, you can ultimately end up in a better position than you would be if you were a single person. So adaptability is really crucial for lasting partnerships, and you get to reap the rewards from that. The next thing that I've learned is that communication is about understanding. It's not just about speaking or listening. So a lot of people think that they're great communicators. They're like, yeah, I have this way with words. I'm very good at expressing my opinion. I'm very good at, proving a point. I'm very good at being clear with what I want to say and, putting someone in their place. I'm very good at standing up for myself. A lot of people think that good communication is about speaking. Then there's another camp that believes that good communication is about listening. Oh, I sat there and I shut up for ages and I just heard what they had to say and it was great. But the truth is that communication is actually somewhere in the middle. Communication is about understanding. And understanding involves asking questions. It's about clarifying. It's not enough to just hear. You've actually got to aim to genuinely understand your partner's feelings and viewpoints. This clarity involves both speaking and listening. And this is what leads to connection. And again, this is a process to build. This is about striving to comprehend where your partner is coming from, both emotionally and logically, and then reflecting it back to them to make sure that you've understood it properly. Communication is very active. This is why so many experts say that communication is key to good relationships. If you don't communicate, then you don't understand. And if you don't understand, then you don't build a connection. And that's why so many relationships can drift apart, because it really ultimately only takes one person to start turning that connection around and rebuilding it back up with good communication, which is good understanding. And just before I move forward, if you do want more videos like this on healthy relationships and repairing relationships, then feel free to subscribe to my channel for new videos every single week. The next really important lesson in screwing up relationships for 30 years is that blame is an illusion. It's all about taking responsibility. So when it comes to discords, when it comes to these disconnects in relationships, it's crucial, more than anything else in relationships, is about owning your role. So instead of pointing fingers, it's important to recognize your part in the relationship dynamics. True accountability lays the groundwork for growth. So the more that you see these discords as opportunities, the more that you have the chances to learn not only about yourself, but about your partner and cultivate that understanding and that connection. Rather than blaming your partner for the failure of a relationship, it's about taking responsibility in your role and leading the relationship into a better direction. This illusion of blame is very, very easy for our minds to fall into. It's something that so many people do. If you think about pretty much any relationship argument you've ever had, it starts with one person saying, you didn't do X, Y, Z, and then the other person saying, yeah, but you didn't do A, B, C. Pretty much every relationship argument ends up like that, right? It's about pointing fingers of blame. This illusion keeps you trapped in the past. So even if your partner is falling for this illusion of blame, it's important to not fall for it yourself, because then you get caught in this negative feedback loop. It's crucial to get rid of this illusion of blame and to look forward as to how to bridge the gap, how to overcome these challenges and prevent them from happening in the future. And this involves a lot of understanding, cultivating this communication, listening to what your partner has to say in order to provide better solutions for moving forward. So it's important that you lead the direction by doing this, and this is essential for the growth of the relationship. Next, it's important to understand that forgiveness is simply a choice. You can choose to move forward and release the past, right? This again relates to this idea of blame. If you hold on to blame, this weighs you down. Letting go of blame is a gift that you give yourself and your partner. The more that you let go of blame, the more that you can move forward, and then eventually your partner will start to follow at the same time. So you've got to make the decision. You've got to actively decide to forgive. Now, this is simple, but it doesn't mean that it's easy. But it is a powerful choice that clears the path for healing and for growth. The more that you are able to let go of the past, the more that you're able to concentrate on the future and be able to lead the relationship into a better place. So using forgiveness as a foundation to build a stronger, much more resilient bond moving forward. The more that you let go of blame and start to forgive, the more trust starts to be rebuilt through consistent actions. One of the biggest things that I've learned is that empathy is a skill, it's not an instinct. So when it comes to conflict in a relationship, it can be so easy to get protective and defensive about yourself. And this often leads you to forget to put yourself in your partner's shoes. When you're so wrapped up in feeling hurt, feeling pain, feeling scared, feeling jealous, all empathy goes out the window. It's not that you don't care, it's just that this is not a priority in that moment because you're so busy worrying about your own emotions and feeling like you have to protect yourself. This kind of builds on what we've just spoken about forgiveness. The more that you're able to forgive, the more that you're able to start to empathize with your partner. The more that you start to practice this empathy and put yourself in your partner's shoes, the more that you're able to see where they're coming from and the better solutions you can build moving forward to overcome these logical and emotional discords. But true empathy requires effort. It requires practice. But this is what builds the most profound connections. So empathy is really vital for understanding what your partner is feeling, where your partner's coming from. But you can practice this now. You can start to get into the habit of validating feelings. So by getting into the habit of actively trying to internally name what your partner may be feeling, this starts to put you deeper and deeper into their shoes and helps you to see their perspective a lot more. The more that you understand their perspective and have that data, the more that you can start to look forward as to how to navigate your partner's potential feelings in the future. Being able to acknowledge and affirm your partner's feelings, even if you don't fully understand their perspective, is really, really crucial. By practicing validation, this fosters emotional safety. And I've actually done a deeper dive on emotional safety, which I'll link to above and in the description down below. But that's the environment in which you and your partner feel safe expressing your feelings without any negative consequences. So it's crucial to regularly check in with your partner, ask how your partner's feeling, what they need. Putting yourself in their shoes shows that you care and it strengthens your bond. Next is a huge lesson, which is that you are responsible for your happiness, not your partner. So this kind of ties back to blame again. You've got to recognize that your emotions and your reactions are your responsibility, not your partner's. So when you turn around to your partner and you're saying, you're making me mad, you're making me angry, that is not the truth. That is actually not taking responsibility for your emotions. Your partner doesn't make you mad, you make you mad. It's down to you to manage your emotions and your interpretations of what's happening. One of the biggest myths out there is that events cause emotions. I'm in this situation and this situation made me feel mad. My partner did this, that made me mad. But that's not true. It's actually our interpretation, which is in between the event and ourselves. Our interpretation is what fuels our emotions. If we see something as a bad situation, then we're going to feel negative. Once you get into the habit of understanding that your interpretations are something that you can start to learn to control and manage, then you can start to take ownership of your own emotions and stop blaming your anger on other people or on situations. And this makes you an active participant in your own life. This gives you control over what you can do. The more that you look inwards, the more control you have, the safer your partner is going to feel around you, because no one likes to be around someone who's just about to blow up, right? The more that you learn to manage your emotions, the more influence you have on your relationship. Oftentimes in relationships, especially when it comes to blame, they sort of get into this habit of being like, why me? Why do I have to do this when my partner doesn't? The toughest truth is that you need to lead by example. When you do lead by example, if you're doing it consistently, then eventually your partner will follow. So it's crucial that you be the change that you want to be. If you would like your partner to act in a certain way, then you need to be the ultimate example of that. So you need to model this behavior that you wish to see in your partner. Rather than telling them that they're doing something wrong, you need to lead by example, showing by inspiring rather than dictating. This is the best example of influencing the relationship. If you can show without telling why vulnerability is important, why good communication helps, you're leading and cultivating a positive environment within the relationship. So your actions in the relationship can create a massive ripple effect. Positivity and growth inspire your partner to reciprocate. This happens slowly, but it happens over time. The more that you give them the freedom to be able to make their own choices, but lead the way in creating an example, the more the relationship will head in a positive direction. However, if you go the opposite way, if you dictate, if you tell someone what to do, if you tell them that they're doing something wrong, it won't inspire them. It will actually demotivate them, and it will build resentment. So it's crucial to lead by example and give ultimate autonomy to your partner to make their own decisions, and trust that they will be able to discern what is effective and what is ineffective. So support your partner in taking charge of their own growth, celebrate their successes and their efforts, and foster this culture of mutual support. And remember that leading by example is crucial, but it's just the beginning of the journey. There's so much more to explore when it comes to building and repairing a strong relationship. If you do want to deeper dive into all of this, then join me in my free relationship bootcamp. In the bootcamp, you're going to learn the tools and techniques that all of my successful Ultra Normal members have used to start transforming their relationships from the ground up. So if you want to start leading your relationship in the right direction, then just click on the link in the description to grab your spot. And most of all in relationships, it's important to embrace the uncomfortable. There will be, and there should be, conflict in relationships. There doesn't need to be arguments, but there should be conflicts. These are the mismatches in relationships, and it's important to understand how to bridge them. But this means that you can't avoid difficult conversations. And I've actually done a deeper dive video, which I'll link to on the screen. Avoiding arguments will cause more problems in your relationship in the long run. So it's really crucial to learn how to approach and navigate difficult conversations and stop avoiding conflict. So I'm going to leave you with that deep dive video, and I'll see you over there.